Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I eat super healthy in hopes of preventing later life disease as someone with a really bad family history of health issues. So today I washed a ton of produce. I have some butternut squash mac and cheese sauce, some banana protein muffins, lentils, beans, roasted veggies, and some salad ingredients. So I'll show you how I prepped all of this. Number one thing I'm gonna do is get some things cooking in my Instant Pot. I love to batch prep my beans and then put them in salads or recipes throughout the week. And I also like to fill up my freezer with my beans.
Pretty much every week I prep a batch of beans in my Instant Pot like this. And I'm a big fan of these black lentils because they hold their shape and don't turn to mush like other types of lentils do. So I just add some Mrs. Dash all-purpose seasoning and enough water to cover them by like a centimeter. I can't measure because when I measure, it comes out wrong. You just have to measure with your heart.
All right, next is gonna be a little bit of an experimental recipe. I have this butternut squash that I've been meaning to use, so I'm gonna make a butternut squash red lentil pasta sauce in my Instant Pot. Pair it with some protein pasta or bean pasta for another high-ish protein meal.
So this week I was prepping to get ready for some rehearsals and gigs I have coming up. I have a really busy season ahead of me for dance jobs. And then I unexpectedly rolled my ankle this past week, so I'm not sure what that holds in store for me for this dancing season. I was really excited to have so many jobs lined up. But yeah, that's life, I guess. At least now I'll have some nice, healthy, nourishing food to hopefully help me recover quicker. But I figured this red lentil butternut squash pasta would be really easy to warm up on a night that you don't feel like cooking. I washed 1 cup of lentils and then added 1 small-ish butternut squash, 1 diced onion, and half a cup of cashews. Then I added in a tablespoon of poultry seasoning, a half a tablespoon of smoked paprika, some fresh thyme, and 3 cups of veggie broth. Super, super simple. The last thing I added was some of this mushroom umami seasoning. This makes everything taste so good because it has mushroom powder, red pepper flakes, garlic, and salt. And once that's done pressure cooking for 10 minutes, I'll show you what I'm gonna do with it afterwards. As part of my usual routine, I picked up a ton of leafy greens and produce from the farmer's market this week, so I'm gonna give it all a nice rinse in the sink before I put it away. I typically buy like 4 to 5 heads of lettuce, 2 bunches of kale, and I'll also usually get some bok choy. Yeah, if that sounds crazy to you, we will definitely eat this amount of lettuce between putting it in a salad every day and making a smoothie. Also, it's persimmon season, and persimmons are one of my favorite fruits. Only the fuyu variety, like the short round ones, I like those ones. I don't like the big circular ones. So then I threw all my other produce in the sink to give it a rinse. I got some broccoli, zucchini, grapes, Brussels sprouts, and this is how everything was looking after it was all washed. And I'll just let it drip dry here while I work on some other things.
I'm gonna whip up a batch of my banana nut protein muffins. This recipe is kind of different than my typical like nutritarian, whole food, plant-based recipes. Since I'm doing this nutcracker show, I'm trying really hard to like stay in great shape and just like put on more muscle. So I've been really trying to be conscious of getting enough protein daily, especially when I have like really long rehearsal days and like hard workouts. So I made these muffins specifically to have more protein in them, and there's only a 1/4 cup of sugar in the whole batch. I use allulose, so it's not really sugar. It's actually sugar-free, but you can also use coconut sugar, and that actually makes them taste really good. But I just felt the need to give that disclaimer. This isn't like my typical like extremely whole food, like all natural type of recipe. This is more like just trying to be like an extra protein snack. So I use egg whites in the batter. A lot of people don't like when I cook with egg whites. If you're looking for a really delicious protein boosted treat, these are really good. And you could add like chocolate chips to them, so it makes them even more of a treat. I start out with 3 mashed bananas, 1/4 cup of allulose or coconut sugar, vanilla extract, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You could leave it out if you want to make it oil-free, but I find that since I'm adding protein powder to this, it needs a little bit more moisture. 1/4 cup of milk. I'm using soy milk. Egg whites. All right, for dry ingredients, you need 2 scoops of protein powder. Vanilla flavor is preferred because it helps add extra sweetener and flavor to the muffins. 1 1/4 cups of oats blended into flour. I like to measure out the oats first. Let's mix up our muffins. It's really hard to make baked goods with protein powder taste good because the protein powder just like tastes bad and I don't know. But I was really happy when I made these. They came out perfect. Like I literally just whipped this recipe up and it came out amazing. Oh, you know what? I forgot the walnuts. I forgot to add in the walnuts. I'm gonna break them up a little bit. And I forgot the baking soda. Right, I only typically get 11 because I like to fill them up so they're a bit fluffier.
Pop those in a 350-degree oven for about 18 minutes, 15 to 18 minutes, and this is how they come out. They come out so perfect. I'm like shocked how fluffy and sweet they are, being gluten-free.
You can hear them crackling.
And with such little sugar. So I'm just gonna let these cool before I put them away.
All right, let's check on my lentils. It's been over an hour. They look perfect, perfect. I love black lentils. They don't turn to complete mush like brown or green lentils. They hold their shape better. Also, using slightly less water helps. I'm just gonna let these cool down. While I have my other Instant Pot freed up, I'm gonna make another batch of beans and just keep adding to my freezer stash. I don't have any beans in my freezer right now. So I'm first gonna wash these off. Pot up with a ton of water. You don't really have to measure. I'm not gonna put anything in these, just leave them plain. 35 minutes. Hopefully that's long enough. Alright, let's check on our butternut lentil sauce. It smells incredible. You know what's the one thing I wanted to add to this was a couple of tomatoes, and I forgot. The lentils are super, super soft, which is what I wanted. And now I'm just gonna blend this up. You know what, actually, this would be really good if you wanted to like leave it a chunky sauce. But since I put the cashews in there, I feel like I have to blend it up or else there's gonna be cashew chunks in it. But it tastes so good. Maybe I'll blend up like half of it. Some tofu. Maybe that seems like a little much, actually. Alright, this sauce, incredible. I can't stop eating it. It is so good. Really simple, too. I think with some tomato, it would be delicious. You guys know this is my favorite seasoning. Like, I'm seriously addicted to this mushroom umami seasoning. But I added this in, and it tastes like so delicious. I can't stop eating it. I'm just eating it by the spoonful. So I'm not gonna boil the pasta yet. I'm gonna just save this on the side. But when I make the pasta, I will show you how it comes out.
This is how the sauce turned out mixed with the pasta. Seriously, it was so yummy. I don't know why. It's such a simple recipe, but it just tasted really good altogether. It has to be the mushroom seasoning. Like the little kick of red pepper definitely helps. And this is the pasta I used. It's really, really high in protein, 20 grams per serving, due to lupini and fava beans, which are super high in protein.
And I like only blending up half the sauce. I like how it's like a little bit chunky. I'm gonna let this cool down before I put it in the fridge. I think I'm gonna whip up one more veggie baked squash dinner. Colin always needs something for his lunches. He works like 10-hour days straight from home. He needs some things that he can just heat up.
I've been really into baked squash dinners lately, and I had this curry squash, I think it's called. that I've been meaning to use, so I threw this in the oven along with some other veggies and mushrooms I needed to get rid of from last week. I used some red onion, a block of tofu, cauliflower and shiitake, and pink oyster mushrooms. Doused all of that in chili powder, smoked paprika, mushroom seasoning. Put that in the oven covered so that it can like steam all together and not dry out. And I baked that for 40 minutes at 375, I think. Then I finished putting everything else away. This is my bean freezer stash. This is how the baked squash and veggies turned out. I had to leave to go to an appointment, so it came out a little bit burnt because I had to text Colin to pull it out of the oven. But it was really good. The squash was nice and soft. And that's it. Here's everything that I made for the week.
Well, here's everything I ended up prepping. Not as big as some of my other meal preps, but definitely very productive. So thank you so much for joining me for this meal prep. I'll see you next time. Bye!